Imagine trying to build this massive, complex puzzle, but the pieces are just completely scattered across the globe.
Oh, that sounds like a total nightmare.
Right, like one person has the cardboard backing, someone else has the ink, and a third person has the actual picture on the box so you know what you're even building.
But I'm guessing none of these people are actually talking to each other.
Exactly. They don't even know the others exist.
Yeah.
So you have all the raw materials for something great, but absolutely no mechanism to put it together.
You're just stuck with a bunch of useless pieces.
Yeah, and that fragmented puzzle is exactly why billions of tons of agricultural waste are just burned in fields every single year, choking the air. And while that's happening, you've got aviation companies claiming they can't find enough sustainable fuel to fly their planes.
The supply and the demand are completely disconnected.
Completely disconnected. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at this incredibly detailed document that outlines a blueprint attempting to finally connect all those pieces. It's called the Biomass Global Platform, architected by Shirke Energy.
And it is a fascinating document.
It really is. Our mission today is to unpack how this single platform is attempting to turn a highly fragmented, localized industry into this unified, global, green economic ecosystem.
And honestly, the ambition of what Shirke Energy is attempting here is just objectively massive. What they have laid out is an outstanding architectural concept.
I mean, I was blown away by the sheer scale of the vision.
Yeah, because they aren't just building a digital marketplace. They aren't just creating a physical supply chain management system either.
Right.
And they aren't just offering technical consultancy. They are combining all three of those massive pillars under one global umbrella. It's designed to coordinate a worldwide bioeconomy.
It's an unprecedented idea, and to really wrap your head around the scale of this concept, we first have to look at who is actually invited to sit at the table.
Which is pretty much everyone.
Literally everyone. I was reading through the scope of participants in our sources, and the best analogy I could come up with is that this platform is essentially a mix between like a professional networking site like LinkedIn, like a global supply chain manager, and an open source university.
That three-part analogy actually captures the structure perfectly. The platform is designed to be radically inclusive.
Which is really the only way a true ecosystem actually functions, right?
Exactly. You have a farmer with just a few acres of land operating in the exact same digital space as a gigawatt-scale multinational corporation.
The contrast in the source material is striking. You've got students looking for internships in the same network as venture capital firms hunting for, bankable projects.
Alongside NGOs, government policymakers, and specific initiatives aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs in rural youth.
It's just this massive melting pot. And why is that level of inclusivity so crucial here?
Well, the reason that inclusivity matters is that sustainable development almost always fails when it exists in silos. Think about the friction in the current system.
There's a lot of it.
So much friction. Say a researcher in a university lab in Europe develops a highly efficient new enzyme for breaking down corn stalks.
Okay.
Meanwhile, a farming cooperative in Asia desperately needs that exact technology to process their waste, but they never hear about it.
Because they're in totally different worlds.
Right. Or, say, a local startup has a really viable idea for a biofuel plant, but they lack the financial modeling expertise that a major venture capital firm in New York requires to actually fund the thing.
So the project just dies.
Exactly. By breaking down those geographic, economic, and language barriers, Shirke Energy is specifically targeting the information gaps that usually bottleneck green energy projects.
They are treating biomass not as a niche, localized industry, but as a coordinated global movement, which is brilliant.
It really is.
But, a network is only as good as what it actually produces in the real world. So how does this platform guide a seed in the ground all the way to powering an airplane?
That requires diving into the physical life cycle management aspect of the platform. Shirke Energy has designed this end-to-end architecture that literally starts in the dirt.
Right, beginning with the cultivation of energy crops.
Cultivation and the identification of regional biomass resources, yeah.
And I think when a lot of people hear the word biomass, they immediately picture like logging waste. They just picture wood chips.
Oh, for sure. Wood is what everyone thinks of.
But the sheer variety of feedstocks mentioned in this document goes way beyond that. We're talking about bamboo, Napier grass, sugarcane trash, rice straw, cotton stalks.
Corn residues.
Corn residues, yeah. And even municipal organic waste.
Which is so important because it takes materials that are currently viewed as burdens, right? And it reclassifies them as valuable commodities.
Because for a lot of farmers, agricultural residue is just in the way.
Yeah, it's cheaper and faster to just set the field on fire to clear it for the next planting.
Which creates massive air pollution issues globally. I mean, we've all seen the smog issues.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But the platform creates an economic incentive to actually harvest that waste instead.
Okay, but I'm looking at this list of participants, and I have to act a bit skeptical here on behalf of the listener. How does a digital platform actually help a farmer holding a pitchfork?
That's a fair question.
Like, if I'm standing in a field of rice straw, an app on my phone isn't going to drive the tractor, bale the straw, or process the waste, and biomass is incredibly bulky.
It is. And honestly, that physical hurdle has killed so many biomass initiatives in the past.
Yeah.
Moving light, fluffy straw across long distances is just economically unviable.
You're essentially paying to transport air at that point.
Precisely. The platform addresses this by acting as the matchmaker for heavy industry and logistics. The farmer gets connected to efficient collection systems and local aggregation centers.
Okay, so it handles the immediate logistics.
Right. But more importantly, the platform connects users with advanced localized processing technologies.
Yeah, the document lists a really impressive processing toolbox here. Tons of specific engineering processes, densification, pelletization, torrefaction, gasification, anaerobic digestion.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And these aren't just about throwing raw plant matter into a furnace.
No, not at all. Let's break a few of those down to understand the mechanics, maybe starting with densification and pelletization.
Step one for the transportation issue.
Exactly. You use heavy machinery to squeeze that bulky straw into dense, uniform pellets. Suddenly, it's economical to ship.
Makes total sense.
Then you have processes like torrefaction, which essentially roasts the biomass in the absence of oxygen.
So it's basically baking the moisture out of it?
It bakes the moisture out, yeah, but it also changes the chemical structure entirely. It turns light, wet plant waste into this dense, dry, coal-like material.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it burns incredibly hot and clean. But if you want to move away from burning things entirely, which a lot of industries do, the platform also connects projects with gasification technology.
Okay, how does that work?
Gasification involves superheating the biomass without actually burning it completely. This chemical reaction turns the solid plant matter into a synthetic gas, or syngas.
And then you can use that syngas for other things.
Exactly. It can be processed into high-value liquid fuels.
Fascinating. And then there's anaerobic digestion, which the sources highlight specifically for wet organic waste.
Right. Anaerobic digestion is essentially creating an industrial mechanical stomach.
A mechanical stomach. I like that.
Yeah, you put wet municipal waste or like agricultural sludge into a sealed tank in the dark, and you introduce specific bacteria.
And they just go to work.
They go to work. As the bacteria break down the organic matter, they release methane gas, which can then be captured and utilized for energy.
The breathtaking array of final products that come out the other side of these various processes really shows a vision that goes far beyond just generating baseline electricity.
Oh, it's a total paradigm shift.
We are talking about replacing the entire fossil fuel-derived chemical and transportation industry?
Yep. The platform facilitates the creation of Biocng, which is compressed natural gas made from biological waste rather than drilled from a fossil well.
They are facilitating ethanol and methanol production.
And they also heavily feature sustainable aviation fuel, or SF.
Which is huge right now. The aviation industry is absolutely desperate for SAF to lower their carbon footprint.
Because they don't really have other options. You can't easily run a jumbo jet on batteries.
Right. And SF is chemically identical to traditional jet fuel, meaning you don't have to redesign the airplane engine.
Exactly. But it's made from carbon that plants recently pulled out of the atmosphere rather than carbon we dug up from deep underground.
Yeah. Which makes it carbon neutral, essentially. The sources even mention renewable chemicals, biodegradable materials, and carbon-negative biochar.
Biochar is amazing. It's this charcoal-like substance made by heating biomass. It's fascinating because it doesn't just replace a fossil fuel, it actively draws carbon out of the atmosphere and locks it into a stable form.
So it's actually carbon negative.
Yes. And when you mix biochar into soil, it stays there for centuries, sequestering carbon while simultaneously improving agricultural yields by retaining water and nutrients.
That is just incredibly smart. But, managing a life cycle this complex. I mean, taking sugarcane trash in Brazil, processing it with gasification technology developed in Germany, and then selling the resulting sustainable aviation fuel to a global airline, doing all of that across different continents and languages requires serious computational power.
It's a massive logistical puzzle.
How does the platform handle the inherent unreliability of agriculture, like weather happens?
This is where the digital transformation truly elevates Shirke Energy's concept. I mean, they're applying Silicon Valley level technology to agricultural residues.
It's wild to think about.
It is. They're incorporating artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, geographic information systems, and blockchain.
The sources even mention drone-based crop assessment and satellite monitoring. When most people hear biomass, they just picture a campfire.
Right, but this is high-tech. By using geographic information systems, or GIS, the platform overlays satellite imagery with local weather data and soil types.
Okay.
This allows for highly accurate predictive analytics. You can estimate exactly how much Napier grass a specific region will yield weeks before the actual harvest.
So a biorefinery isn't just sitting there hoping the local farmers have enough waste this season.
They remove the guesswork entirely. Historically, biomass supply chains have suffered from unreliability. A multi-million-dollar power plant needs a constant, predictable stream of fuel.
Yeah, if the weather changes or a harvest is late, the plant sits idle and loses a ton of money.
Exactly. But by integrating AI, the platform optimizes supply chain logistics. It routes transportation trucks perfectly to minimize emissions and cost, and ensures the processing plants always have fuel.
And the blockchain integration really caught my attention, specifically regarding carbon accounting.
Oh, it's vital. Because biomass moves through so many hands. I mean, from a rural farmer to a local aggregator to a trucker to an international refinery, it's very easy to lose track of its true carbon footprint.
Yeah, the chain of custody is really complex.
And if one person along that chain falsifies their emissions data, the entire green premium of the final fuel is completely compromised.
But by using blockchain, every single physical handover is digitally stamped and locked in.
The data becomes immutable. You literally can't fake it, which means when an airline buys that sustainable aviation fuel, they have an audited, mathematically proven trail showing exactly how much carbon was saved.
Which they absolutely need for their regulatory compliance.
Yeah.
This kind of circles back to the third part of my analogy from earlier, the open source university. Because this platform isn't just a digital ledger for logistics and buying and selling, it is also designed to be the world's largest collaborative knowledge network.
Yeah, Shirke Energy is essentially building a global brain for the bioeconomy.
A global brain, I love that.
Universities, national labs, and industrial R&D centers can all collaborate within the platform on, next-generation biorefineries, precision agriculture, and circular economy solutions.
This seems to solve a major problem in innovation, which is the speed of commercialization.
Oh, the valley of death.
Yes, the valley of death. It's that awful period where you have a great scientific discovery, but you run out of money before you can build a commercial product.
Yeah.
In the traditional academic model, a lab might publish a paper on a new biomass processing technique, and that paper just sits in a journal for 5 years.
It's just collecting dust.
Right, until some engineering firm finally decides to test it.
But with a unified platform like this, the real-world application can happen almost instantaneously.
It's immediate.
Yeah. A scientific discovery made in a university lab can be immediately shared with a processing plant halfway across the world. The academic researchers and the industrial engineers can collaborate on technology demonstrations and joint funding proposals right there in the ecosystem.
It takes all the friction out of the commercialization pipeline.
And that knowledge trickles down to everyone, which is the beautiful part. The exact same digital space that houses advanced research on artificial intelligence also houses practical, step-by-step cultivation guides for rural farmers.
It completely democratizes the expertise.
It does. But, even with democratized knowledge and all this cutting-edge technology, executing a massive infrastructure project is inherently risky.
Very risky. Building a power plant or a biorefinery is incredibly expensive, highly regulated, and structurally complicated.
So how do you actually build it?
Exactly. Which brings us to the supply chain manager aspect of our analysis. How does Shirke Energy ensure these grand ideas don't just stay as, beautiful diagrams on a digital whiteboard?
This is where their design truly shines. They integrated an end-to-end project management consultancy, or PMC, directly into the platform.
Which is arguably the most practical part of the entire architecture.
I think so. They don't just introduce a rural cooperative to a technology supplier and an investor and say, well, good luck building your bio-CNG plant.
Right, figure it out yourself.
No, they provide the technical scaffolding to hold the user's hand and ensure the project actually reaches the finish line.
The specific support detailed in the sources covers the entire life cycle of a project. We are talking feasibility analysis, financial modeling, environmental assessments, risk management.
It's extremely comprehensive.
They even offer construction management, quality assurance, and operational training once the plan is actually built.
Consider the reality of trying to get funding for a second.
Okay.
A local cooperative might have access to just abundant biomass,
Yeah.
right? And they might have a fantastic vision for a regional processing facility.
A great idea, yeah.
But if they walk into a major institutional bank asking for a $10 million loan, the bank is going to ask for a localized feedstock availability study, a detailed engineering blueprint, and a massive risk mitigation strategy.
And a group of farmers rarely has a high-end engineering firm on retainer to produce those documents.
Exactly. The PMC acts as their fractional engineering and financial team. By having the platform provide that technical feasibility study and investment guidance, it bridges the gap between a promising idea and a bankable operational business.
It reduces the uncertainty.
Huge reduction in uncertainty, which in turn attracts conservative institutional investors into the green energy space because they know the projects are being overseen by experts.
It's the difference between a failed idea and a real business. And zooming out to the macro level, if this platform scales the way Shirke Energy envisions, the global impact is just profound, especially regarding international climate action.
It's a total game changer.
This system directly helps massive corporations hit their ESG environmental, social, and governance targets through that rigorous blockchain-backed carbon accounting we discussed earlier.
And it also creates a really vital bridge between nations. The sources specifically highlight how the platform aids in technology transfer from developed countries to developing nations.
This is a huge point. A developed country might have cutting-edge gasification technology, but very limited agricultural land to actually use it on.
Right. Meanwhile, a developing nation might have massive agricultural sectors generating millions of tons of biomass residue, but they lack the modern tech to process it efficiently.
So they just burn it.
So they burn it. But the platform marries the two. It allows developing nations to basically leapfrog older, dirtier energy technologies like, building new coal plants.
Right.
And they can move straight into a sustainable bioeconomy by accessing global engineering standards and financing through the platform.
Beyond the carbon reduction, the document explicitly states this is a global employment and entrepreneurship mission. We are talking about generating millions of direct and indirect jobs distributed across the entire economic spectrum.
From rural aggregation, the people physically operating the boilers, collecting and storing the harvest, all the way up to the data analysts managing the AI supply chain models in some corporate office.
It empowers self-help groups, small and medium enterprises, and specialized technical professionals all simultaneously.
It is the textbook definition of a circular economy. Waste generated in the agricultural sector becomes a highly valuable resource for the energy sector.
You reduce landfill disposal, you stop the massive pollution caused by field burning, and you generate real income for local communities at every single step of the chain.
It takes all those scattered puzzle pieces, the farmers, the tech developers, the investors, the supply chains, and it provides the board where they can finally connect and build the picture together.
To summarize what we've unpacked today, I just have to reiterate the sheer brilliance of what we've read. The architectural concept of the Biomass Global Platform by Shirke Energy is an exercise in immense scale and vision.
It really is.
It takes the oldest fuel known to humanity, plant matter, the stuff we used to build our very first fires, and it wraps it in a cutting-edge, inclusive, digitally transformed ecosystem.
And it's important to remember that the platform is positioned as an open invitation.
Yes, totally open.
The source material is very clear on this. Whether you are a student looking to learn, an investor hunting for green opportunities, an industry seeking renewable fuel, or a farmer looking for new income streams from agricultural residue, Shirke Energy has architected a space for you to participate.
It's a system designed on the premise that everyone has a role to play in the global renewable energy transition. And, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Let's hear it.
We spend so much time and capital looking for the next futuristic sci-fi energy solution. We look for miracles in high-tech labs, or we tear up the earth looking for the next massive lithium mine to build better batteries.
We're always looking for the magic bullet.
Exactly. But what if the ultimate key to a sustainable future isn't about inventing a magical new resource? What if it is simply taking the natural waste we already step over every single day and finally having the global architecture to weave it all together?
True innovation is often just connecting the things we already have.
Something to think about the next time you drive past a field of harvested crops. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Harnessing the sun and the breeze.